We have Chargers football this week. Yes, it's preseason game 1, but it's still football, and we are going to have a lot of fun covering it, and we need to discuss it because the Chargers are getting ready to play an actual football game. That does mean that they had to release their depth chart. So we're going to go through the surprises and maybe the not so surprises from the latest Chargers depth chart. Chargers Now is presented by Prize Picks. I am your host, Will Ortner, and you need to subscribe to the channel. Why? Because you're going to get more coverage, the best coverage, in my opinion, on the Los Angeles Chargers as we go into the 2026 NFL season. We are on the road to 6K subscribers. I said that we could get there before the end of August. I'm now starting to reevaluate that thought process. I think that we might be able to get to 7,000 subscribers by the end of August. That's how much this channel is growing every single day. Help us out. Hit that subscribe button. Never miss any Chargers news or rumors ever again. But more importantly, join us for the first watch party of the 2026 NFL season. That's right. Producer Tom, myself, we will be live Thursday night here on the channel discussing this NFL preseason game, man. It's going to be a lot of fun looking at two different postseason teams. Chargers obviously sneaking in as a wild card. The Texans ended up actually getting to that divisional round game. If C.J. Stroud could have held on to the football, maybe they would have gotten a little bit further than where they were. I certainly think that you're going to have a lot of fun hanging out with us, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Okay, so I do not expect many starters to play. One, because Jim Harbaugh has said so, and two, that's just the way the NFL works, right? There's going to be a handful of guys that warm up and don't play at all. There's going to be another handful of guys that end up playing like a drive, maybe two, and then that's all that we see from them. So understand that when we look at the depth charts, it does not mean that you are going to see all these guys out on the field, run around for the Los Angeles Chargers. I think it's easiest to start on the offensive side of the football. One, because I think most of the positions over here, there's not going to be a ton of surprises, although there were a couple surprises at the tight end position specifically for me. But we're going to start where there's not going to be a surprise for anybody, really. That quarterback depth chart. Now, the Chargers did list both DJU and Trey Lance as backups, and they didn't really say, hey, this guy's here, this guy's there. DJU has had a fantastic camp for the Los Angeles Chargers, and this is really just no shock. They're not going to lean either way for DJU or Trey Lance. Justin Herbert obviously had to be the number one guy. He's the number one guy in our hearts, as well as Madison Beers. So that's going to be fun as we get ready to go into the season. Next, we're going to look at the running back room. And yes, we are including the fullbacks in this room for the Los Angeles Chargers. And this is another group that kind of stays pat, right? Omarion Hampton is going to be your running back number one. That makes sense. He's earned that. He was a high draft pick just a year ago. Had a lot of success when healthy. Keaton Mitchell, you don't bring in a guy like Mitchell if you believe that he is going to be like your fourth or fifth option. You bring him in to be that number two guy, gadget guy. I think he fits that role pretty well. Everyone else is kind of in the spots that you'd expect them to be at. Fullback, you got Alec Ingold, and technically we do have to have Scott Matlock still there. I think it's very clear that he will not be a fullback. I think it's very clear he will not be with the team. Like I said, this room makes a lot of sense. These two position groups were not where the surprises came to me. And I think that that is something important for the Chargers to have as you go in to this 2026 NFL regular season. You want certain rooms to not have a bunch of craziness. You want certain rooms to maybe have a little bit more of a reaction or maybe a bit more of a change possibility. I am going to ask you, which Chargers position group shocked you the most? Maybe I should have had this at the end of the show. I'm having it here at the beginning. You're going to go in to the comment section and let us know which position group surprised you on where they had certain players, either as a starter or as a backup, or who was in front of other guys. Because I do think that there are some things that we learned when this depth chart came out, who may now be on the cutting block. We've got more to discuss on the Los Angeles Chargers offense here in just a moment. But first, I do need to let you know that today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app and is the best place to win cash while watching sports. With the football season right around the corner, there's no better time to cash in with our friends at Prize Picks. And I'll tell you this, The app is really easy to use. For player picks, just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. That's it. Prize Picks is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. One thing I love is the new social feeds feature, where you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups with a single click. You can actually follow me on the app at BigWill7774 to see all of my lineups. I have a lineup for the football action going on later on this year. Justin Herbert, more on his pass yards. Quentin Johnston, more on his receiving TDs. Rashid Shaheed, more on his receiving yards. New user offer. Best of all, play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. Just use code HMA when you sign up. That's right. PrizePicks just switched up their offer, so there's no better time to join. Lock in and win that first lineup. That's code HMA at sign up to get $150 in bonus lineups if you win your first $5 plus lineup. When we look at the wide receiver depth chart, they listed this group in a little bit of an interesting manner. Now, they said that McConkey and Johnson were the starters, but they also had Trey Harris in there very quickly. Now, you know us, we show the 3 deep there, so that's why he is up with that starting crew. What I found interesting, though, with this is that Trey Harris has been someone that's had a lot of success in camp. And I think you're seeing some of the old bugaboos start to pop up a little bit with Quentin Johnston. I understand why he is listed as one of the starters. I understand why Ladd McConkey is listed as one of the starters. But I think it's also fair to say guys like Trey Harris and honestly Brendan Thompson as well, they may, by the end of the season, be people that we are discussing more as starters for this team. Now, Johnston, McConkey, they have certainly earned the spots that they are in. But those younger guys, they're also showing that they can have a lot of success. And I think that's something to pay attention to as well. The tight end room. This was the group that they did not list a single starter. It was Charlie Kolar, Oronde Gadsden, or David Njoku as that starter. Everyone else was listed as a backup. But what I found was interesting, you had Gadsden and Njoku not listed as the one. To me, those should be the guys who are listed first. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Charlie Kolar, it's an alphabetical type of order thing, but there's some other position groups that are not alphabetical order. And so to me, when I look at whatever you're doing, it feels like there's a rhyme or reason to certain things, and there wasn't a rhyme or reason there. So the fact that Charlie Kolar's name was the first name listed did have me a bit surprised. And I certainly think that there are going to be a lot of Chargers fans that go, what's going on in that room? We know that the rotations have not been the most fluid or the easiest to really decipher. That is a position group that probably we should have discussed a little bit more. We haven't. We've focused more on the left guard battles and different injury issues and highlighting a couple players that have been doing well. But the tight end room, it's been very clunky. And if Charlie Kolar is someone that they're looking at as maybe being a tight end that gets the majority of the snaps or gets more than the other two guys, I think, one, that's shocking, but two, might be a bit worrisome. Let's look at the offensive line depth chart for the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, I think as you go through it, there were 3 different people who had names for the starting left guard spot. Everyone else was the same. Obviously, Slater, Alt, Strange, Biotish. Those are your starters there. Coyote Oshika and, of course, Branson Taylor, as well as Jake Slaughter, they were all listed as guys who could be starters at that left guard position. Now, to me, that tells me that Trevor Penning is out of the running. I find that a bit surprising, the way that 5 guys have been able to get an opportunity to play there. Pipkins was also not mentioned, but he was mentioned in other spots, so maybe that's why he wasn't mentioned there. I just think that the left guard position is shrouded in mystery, but maybe we're down to 3 guys now. I'm a bit surprised that the Chargers would let the cat out of the bag there that quickly, but at the same time, it certainly feels like that group is getting whittled down ever so slightly. What does a successful game for the Chargers look like on Thursday night? I'm honestly curious, and I kind of want to know what your opinion is. Is it young guys look like they're playing well? Is it the defense getting key stops down in like the low red zone? You don't expect a perfect game. Is it certain players getting big plays, a.k.a. big catches, big runs, big tackles? Or what does it look like? Is it a victory? Is it not a victory? What's a successful night for the Chargers? I'm interested in hearing your opinion in our comment section. Let's talk about the defensive side of the football next, because we've gone through all the offensive positions. Defensive side, it's a little bit easier. Groups are broken down in a way that I think is a little bit different than what other people may expect. We're looking at the interior defensive line. Obviously, the crew that we've been saying, hey, they're going to be the guys that are running out there for you. They are all listed in their positions as well in what the Chargers have up. I think that this is a pretty easy crew to get behind. It's a solid group. Yes, I would prefer for the Chargers to go out and make a move, get Vita Vea in, see what he can do for this team. But right now, to me, that group is listed the way it should be. When you look at the linebacker room, we're going to be talking about the edge rushers and the inside linebackers here. I've been very impressed with what the edge group has been able to do. Now, when you see the starters that are listed, Khalil, Mack, and Tuli starters make sense. Akeem Mesidor, Bud Dupree are the next two guys. Kind of makes sense. What surprised some people and surprised me is that Dame Tucker was listed above Kyle Kennard. Now, obviously, Kennard has had some issues going on this camp. There have been some things said like, hey, he had good effort today that you don't necessarily love to hear. The inside linebacker spots, it's all basically been the same. When you look at the list that they have created or put up versus the list that we have created here at Chargers and put up, it's the same crew. I'm excited to see the young guys, not just on the edge rushing room, but also on the inside linebacker position. I just think that this Chargers team is at a really good spot right now where you have some young guys that are able to learn from veterans who've had a lot of success in the league, and that's an envious spot to be in. Let's look at the DB room. Now, we have everybody up. That is the way that we choose to do it. Now, you're going to go with a crew that has 5 defensive backs. That seems very, very obvious to us. The typical 3-4-5 defense. What'll be interesting here is as you look at this group, what was listed at cornerback was actually Dante Jackson or Cam Hart for his starter position. So still isn't a spot where it's his. But there could be an opening there for Jackson or Hart to take over that cornerback 2 role, which will be fun to discover. Now, they listed the starting safeties as Derwin James and Elijah Molden. We are going to trust that the Chargers are going to do what they did a lot last year, which is use that big nickel. So Derwin James goes into the nickel, and then Tony Jefferson would be the person that gets put up there. Will we have a room that looks a lot different as you get to the regular season? Is there an opportunity for R.J. Mickens or Genesis Smith to beat different people out? Obviously, Jackson and Hart, they're not going to have one person get beat out and then the other one gets cut from the team. But are there going to be a couple of different fun battles to watch here? I certainly think that the Chargers are in a position for that. And I find that really exciting. You don't want your team to be completely locked in going into preseason 1 because that means that no one's really fighting, no one's battling. You want battles. When we look at the Chargers special teams depth, pretty clear from the specialist positions, a.k.a. kicker, punter, long snapper. You kind of already had your crew there. When it comes to kick return and punt return, Darius Davis is obviously that number 1 guy. What'll be interesting to me is where is Davis at on this roster as a whole? Because I think right now, like, he might be your best punt and kick returner, but where is he when it comes to the wide receiver depth chart? Certainly sounds like guys who are a bit younger than him are certainly making waves. It also is clear to me that you have a lot of different options at kick and punt returner that guys are really good, and they could easily fill that role. Davis is not a good enough return man where you're like, wow, he has to make the team for just what he does on special teams. So to me, I didn't expect to see Davis in that top spot. I don't know that we will see him with this team for that much longer. I can't wait for the game on Thursday. 1, because we're going to get to hang out with you. It'll be fun to do a watch party. Producer Tom and myself, we are very excited, jacked up for it. But, and I think that this is very important as well, it's just going to be fun to see football again. It's going to be fun to see Chargers football again. And that I certainly cannot wait for. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can come hang out with us during our live show on Thursday. It'll be the second live show ever on the channel, which is a whole lot of fun. So thank you guys so much for viewing today's video. Make sure that you come back later on tomorrow, but also come back later on this week. And most importantly, make sure that you bolt the freak up.